I'm Julie.
And I'm Des.
And we're the Gals. Real life, real talk from real women. So grab your coffee and let's chat.
Welcome to the Gals podcast.
Really?
On our Zoom
and recording on our phones. Talk about ingenuity, though.
Yes, there's lots of different ways to work around the virus.
It's been interesting. You never know what's going to happen. I feel like it's constantly changing. And
what, like the virus stuff? Like the...
Yeah, that and like all of us trying to like change as we go with like our normal activities to try to make something happen, like even as far as church goes and as far as the podcast goes. I feel like we're constantly having to really think about and really prepare whatever it is that we want to do. I'm grateful that we are able to do it in the time because I think it's really helpful, but it's just too much.
Yeah, it's a lot of change in such a short amount of time.
Yes.
A lot of different, your routine is completely changed. And my hours have changed. I'm going to bed at, midnight or 1 o'clock instead of, 11 o'clock. And then waking up at 9:45 just because you don't have anywhere to go. So it's like there's no pressure to get up. And then you're actually even more tired. So that's not fun. But like you said, being grateful to continue to do these things has really been helpful for me. And one of the things I tell people is to keep your brain just distracted. Keep it focused on other things, because if you don't, you'll just go crazy with depression and anxiety.
I was talking about this last night at our meeting, but
we had a CFF meeting, small group meeting for our church.
We did. And I was talking about how, like, we as a whole are going through a traumatic experience. Like, we're experiencing trauma, and everyone experiences it in a different way and has a different reaction. And that people are saying, like, oh, I'm so tired, and I don't know why I'm tired. Like, that's part of going through a trauma. That's how your body responds, and that's just what we're all going through, whether it's sadness or anger or frustration or fear. We're going as a whole, as a nation, as the world, we're going through a traumatic experience. And those are the things that happen when you go through trauma.
Yeah, even physically, like weight gain or weight loss, right, or drug abuse or alcohol abuse, suicide. Oh my gosh. And then financially, we're all hurting. I was joking with Steve the other day. I said, once we get our stimulus check, we're just going to give it right back for our taxes.
So no. Don't even it. Just keep it.
Just keep the darn thing. Even though it is a blessing for most people, I just feel like we're going to just give it back in the end, tax-wise. But
back to what you were saying, though, about, like, I think with everybody being at home and being faced with this type of environment, people that are addicts and people that struggle with depression and anxiety, it's very amplified. This morning, actually, I found out that someone I work with passed away.
Wow.
And he's an addict, a recovering addict, and young and has kids. And I firmly believe that if he was in a regular environment, he wouldn't have gone back into that pattern, but that it messes with you. Like, this type of situation really, really messes with you mentally. And I'm sure that played a huge role.
Wow.
So
I'm so sorry to hear that. How old was he? Do you know? You said he was young.
Definitely, I would say like maybe early 30s.
Wow. So our age. Wow. And young kids. Well, especially if you lose your job, boredom is something that a lot of people are facing with right now. And that's why like you said, I'm so thankful we get to still do things, because people are bored and you turn to drugs if you're bored, or if you're depressed or you're uncertain of the future, you're going to turn to things that are quote unquote comforting, especially if you don't have the Lord. But even if you do have the Lord and you struggled with addiction in the past, you might be like, Lord, where are you? Like, why are you letting this happen? I'm just going to turn to drugs and something.
Exactly. And I think it gets to a point too where people that need what they usually need to function and you can't go out into the world, or you're like sneaking out into the world, then there's a chance of the sickness spreading and this and that. It's just like all around, it's a terrible, that's a terrible thing to have to live with. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, one thing I am grateful for during this time, and something I want to talk about was your favorite Corona memes that are going around.
Okay.
There's there's some really really great ones.
So many. The two that I really love and also relate to is the one said, I saved them. So I could read it.
Fine.
It says, it's Tuesday, or as we call it now, day. I love that one. Because every day I'm like, I don't know what day
What day it is, right?
And then this one, 2020 is a unique leap year. It has 29 days in February, 300 days in March, and 5 years in April.
Yes. That I just saw the other day. That was so funny.
So funny.
Just like crying. The one I saw yesterday was stay home, stay healthy, stay dressed, because you never know when someone will FaceTime you. The other day, when this whole thing started, Steve was having a face or Zoom meeting with people from the church. And he's doing it in our master bedroom. And I'm like,
God.
and I walk in, I have my pajamas on, and I didn't know that he was on the Zoom meeting. So like, I'm all like, as a girl and as a woman, you don't want people to see in your pajamas with your hair all messed up. And
I get it.
And so our pastor's like, tell Desiree to get dressed, and so you have like all these comments coming at you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm pregnant, so I'm like uber fat right now, and so you just don't feel or look your best right now, and you have to make sure that nobody's on FaceTime or Zoom in the house, so you're not walking around naked.
For real. Or if you're gonna like be dressed on the top and then pajamas on the bottom, just make sure you don't stand up like during a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Make sure you're muted if you're gonna say something that you should.
Yes, there's a lot of different things you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I love the memes though. I think they're great. So we had talked about like, what are some funny things you've done in quarantine?
Oh, yes.
Have you done anything funny? Or like the funniest thing that you've had to do?
What's funny thing I've had to do.
I mean, I haven't really.
I can't think of one.
I haven't done anything funny. It's been interesting with like food and trying to figure out.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. And I actually did bake 3 different things. 2 were successful. 1 was a major fail. Though I made banana bread and it was terrible. That was the fail. Then I made blueberry bread and that was great. And I made lemon cookies.
All gluten-free. All dairy-free.
So delicious. So I guess I would say that that's kind of weird and funny because I'm not a baker or a cook, but I got to the point where I was like, I'm so bored. I need to find something to do because I needed a task and I needed to fulfill a task. So I was like, well, I'm just going to Google some things and see what I can find. And I knew that we had blueberries that need to get used. So I just was like, okay, something with blueberries. But that's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that was one of my questions was, what new thing have you done in quarantine? And well, the one thing I've been doing is just learning how to cook really simple things, like corn on the cob. Like I didn't realize it was so easy. Someone had gifted us this whole big thing of vegetables and fruit.
Nice.
These clients. Yeah, it was super nice. And I'm like, what do I do with this stuff? Because I don't know. I don't cook. There was like corn and string beans and tomatoes and apples. Obviously, I know what to do with that stuff. Onions. What else did they give us? But anyway, like corn on the cob was so easy. You just put it in the boiling water for 15 minutes. It just tasted so good. And what else did I make? Hard-boiled eggs. Looks just stupid stuff that I never really knew how to do because I never took the
I don't
time
cook
to
any of
learn
those
it.
things.
Like
Yeah.
one time I actually tried to make hard-boiled eggs when I was younger, and I remember the eggs cracking inside the water, and I just never tried it again after that because I was so discouraged.
Forget it.
So I was like, you know, I'm just gonna go to YouTube and just learn how to do simple, dumb things like that. And then like baked potatoes, like how to make a good baked potato. And it's nice. Like I feel like I'm finding myself making food every day, and that's something I haven't really done in the past. It's always fast food.
Right. And that's, I think that was one of my other questions is like, what do you think in this time that will change going forward? Like that you've created in this time that you might take with you going forward? Like what are some of those habits?
I think that's a great question. Well, I'm hoping the habit of making food at home sticks because that has always been the biggest hardship for us financially and physically for our bodies. It's always fast food, or even if it's good food like salads and stuff, we're always spending money on food. So when I look back every month at our expenses, it's, you know, $1,000 in food or restaurants.
Right.
So just knowing how simple and easy making a good meal at home can be, is, I hope to take that with me. And just being a better wife to my husband and being more supportive for him. That too, because this is a really tough time and it's challenging for both of us. So I'm learning how to cope with this big problem, yet be nice to my husband, and hopefully that will carry through.
I feel the same way about that. I really do.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's hard to slow down sometimes and not have a purpose. So I've been trying to just every day have a routine and stick to the routine. I've been doing a yoga class every day, if not two, which has been really helpful. And playing music consistently, you know, playing my guitar consistently, and just, you know, every day being in more of a prayerful state where I have worship music on the whole time that when I have a work day, the whole time that I'm working, and just really focusing on what I'm saying and what I'm singing and what I'm praying about, and to kind of, I want to take that back into my everyday where I'm like in a place where I'm constantly like praising and thanking and being grateful, and also like lifting up people. Like people are constantly asking us for prayer. That's just what happens. Like, hey, can you pray for this, that? And we say yeah, and sometimes you say it and then you forget. So I've been trying to get into a habit of when I see something that someone needs, right away, like putting that into my mind and praying for it and praying for them, and being more open to praying for people over the phone and things like that. I've come in contact with a couple of people that I had to reach out for my job. And this one woman was very upset because she lost her job and she was about to be homeless with her kids. And I don't know her like in any way, shape, or form. And I just happened to be the one that got her message on my voicemail. So I called her back, and as I was talking to her and giving her some numbers to call, I kept hearing God saying, like, you need to pray for her. You need to pray for her. I'm like, this lady doesn't know me. Like, I don't know her. I don't know if it's okay for me to do that. Right. So she was clearly upset. And then a little bit into the phone call, I said to her, you know, would it be okay if I prayed for you and prayed for your family? And she was like, oh my goodness, yes, please. That would be great. So I just prayed over her, and she was sobbing, just sobbing and crying. And I was just praying declarations over her and God's truth over her and her family. And at the end of the phone call, she was just so grateful. And you know, I think it's funny because we miss those opportunities sometimes. Like God was really pushing me hard to do that, and I could have just been like, okay, bye, have a great day, given her the information. But I really listened to what he asked of me, and I feel like I don't know what came of that, but I believe that is exactly what she needed. And she needed to know that God was there. She needed to know the presence that she carries with her. So I think we need to do more of that.
Do you think you'll keep updating